Today I'm going to be taking you through a game where I beat a 2000 rated player over the board in a chess tournament in just 6 moves. I played e4, and we get into this French. Queen c7 attacks the e5 pawn, and the computer suggests f4, but I didn't want to commit playing my f pawn too quickly, especially since that would weaken some diagonal, so I just decided to go with bishop f4. I wasn't really going into this game expecting to win, so I thought, what's the worst that could happen? And here, it's a 6th move. So how will I obtain a winning position? It's a 2000 player, he's not going to make any stupid mistake. It's not going to be a piece hang. Or is it? Knight f6, the massive blunder. He tries to kind of be a bit smart here, because if I take, then he just takes my bishop, and if I take here, then his bishop gets on this long diagonal. This is not good for me at all. So why is knight f6 such a blunder? It's because of knight b5. He blitzed out that knight f6 move, so I knew he didn't do enough calculation to play it. Whenever you see a threat, kind of a weird move, you don't look at it and say to yourself that, oh man, that's a good move. Instead, you try to find every single way to make that move as bad as possible. And so I realized that if I could get this queen out of the way of this pin, then I would be able to take the knight. So I played knight b5. And no matter what he does, he has to move the queen. He weighed queen c5 in the game, but queen a5 was better, in which I probably would have just blocked with my queen. We trade, and then there's a threat of knight c7, a fork, and the knight is also hanging, so black's going to lose the knight or the rook. So queen c5 happened in the game, and then I simply just took the knight. He played knight a6, defending the c7 threat, and then I played queen to d4, offering a trade of queens. When you're up material, you obviously want to trade as much as possible. You want to get into the endgame as quickly as possible, which will make it way easier. So he takes on f6. I could have traded queens, but I don't want to lose a pawn while I'm at it, so I decided to just take on f6. He moves his rook out of danger. I go back to c3, offering another trade of queens, and once the queen moved, there would just be so much pressure on the c7 square from all my 3 pieces. I just knew I had to be completely winning. And so I go bishop c7. I didn't want to rush in with knight c7 because I knew my knight was good on b5, because it couldn't be attacked at the moment with a6, and I wanted to keep this knight c7 move in store. So bishop c7, I thought he was going to play queen c6 or queen c5, trying to get a trade, which were basically his only moves to get his queen out of danger, but instead he just kind of admitted defeat and took on c7, and now knight c7, and I won the rook. And the rest of the game is just me completely winning, but there was one more instructive moment. Queen to d6. And here I was like, okay, my knight's going to be lost for sure. You can just go something like here, and you're going to win the knight. So I was like, why not trade queens while I'm at that? So I go queen c7 check, and I convert into a rook up endgame. Now, it wasn't as easy as you might think to convert the rest of the game, but I did do it pretty smoothly, I'd say. So I went knight c3, just developing g3 because I knew there were no prospects for my bishop on this diagonal, so I decided to go for the other diagonal. And he was building up some pressure with his passed pawns, I must say. So you can see these pawns seem a bit scary. I play f4, I allow his bishop into f3, the threats on the knight. But the thing is, if I had played anything else, what I was scared of was bishop f3. The computer obviously finds some way to refute it and says I'm still completely winning. But I was scared of bishop d2. And if I go here, he just goes back. And then I have to defend my knight again. Thought we would make a draw. And I didn't want that because I was completely winning. So I played f4. So bishop h6 wouldn't be a problem. And then he played bishop f3. I just defend my knight and get out of the pin. And then the pawns were pretty scary, and I was like, I thought I didn't convert this the best, but the computer thinks it's even better. And so I just trade off the bishops, and I realized I'm forced to lose my knight, but I knew I had enough compensation. And I didn't annotate the rest of the game because it was pretty easy. There's rook e7. I can always pick up this pawn and this pawn, and I can double up on the e file, and I managed to win the game by promoting to a queen.